The CEO slams his fist on the conference table, and the pregnant woman's face goes white. 30 seconds later, her water breaks in front of the entire executive team. Before we dive in, drop a comment and let us know where you're watching from. We'd love to hear from you. If you enjoy stories like this, be sure to like the video, subscribe, turn on the notification bell, and share it with someone who'd love it too. Rachel Bennett is 8 months pregnant and sitting in the quarterly review meeting. She's the Director of Marketing at Nexus Technologies. Been with the company for 6 years. She built the department from nothing, increased revenue by 300%. But CEO Graham Whitfield doesn't care about any of that right now. He's staring at her across the mahogany table with cold eyes. Your numbers are down this quarter, Graham says. Care to explain? Rachel shifts in her chair. Her back aches. The baby's been kicking all morning. We had some delays with the product launch, she says, but we're projected to recover by... Projected, Graham interrupts. I don't care about projections. I care about results. Sir, the delays were outside our control. The development team... Are you blaming other departments? Graham asks sharply. No, I'm explaining the context. Sounds like excuses to me, Graham says. The room goes quiet. 12 executives stare at their laptops. Nobody makes eye contact with Rachel. I've been carrying extra workload to prepare for my maternity leave, Rachel says carefully. Training my replacement. Documenting processes. Your maternity leave, Graham repeats. Yes, let's talk about that. Rachel's stomach tightens. Not a contraction, just dread. You're abandoning your team for 3 months, Graham says, right in the middle of our busiest quarter. It's not abandonment, Rachel says. It's legally protected leave. I've planned extensively. You've planned to dump your responsibilities on everyone else, Graham says. Rachel feels heat rising to her face. That's not fair. I've worked 60-hour weeks for 6 years, and now you're checking out, Graham says. Right when we need you most. I'm having a baby, Rachel says. Her voice shakes. It's not checking out. From a business perspective, it absolutely is, Graham says coldly. The CFO, Michael, clears his throat. Graham, maybe we should stay out of this, Michael, Graham snaps. He turns back to Rachel. You know what your problem is? You lack commitment. Excuse me? Rachel can't believe what she's hearing. Real leaders don't abandon ship, Graham continues. They push through, make sacrifices. I've made nothing but sacrifices, Rachel says, voice rising. I worked through morning sickness, through complications. I was in the hospital last month and still answered emails. And yet your department is underperforming, Graham says. Rachel's hands are shaking. My department has exceeded targets for 5 straight years. Past performance doesn't guarantee future results, Graham says. He leans forward. Maybe we need someone more dedicated in your position. The threat hangs in the air. Are you threatening to fire me? Rachel asks. I'm questioning whether you're the right fit anymore, Graham says. Because I'm pregnant? Rachel's voice is steel now. Because you're not delivering results, Graham says. The pregnancy is just unfortunate timing. Rachel stands up, too quickly. The room spins. Sit down, Graham commands. We're not done. Yes, we are, Rachel says. This is discrimination, clear and obvious. This is a performance review, Graham interrupts. Don't make it about your condition. You just called my pregnancy unfortunate timing, Rachel says. Because it is, Graham says, from a business standpoint. Rachel grips the table. Something feels wrong. A dull ache spreads across her abdomen. I need to sit down, she says quietly. I told you to sit down 2 minutes ago, Graham says. But you want it to be dramatic. Rachel lowers herself back into the chair. The ache intensifies. Now, as I was saying, Graham continues, we need to discuss your future with this company. Graham, she doesn't look well, says Jennifer, the VP of HR. She's fine, Graham says without looking at Rachel. Stop coddling her. Rachel's breathing changes. Short, sharp breaths. The ache becomes pressure, intense pressure. I need to leave, Rachel says. The meeting isn't over, Graham says. Something's wrong, Rachel gasps. You're being dramatic again, Graham says. Classic pregnancy manipulation. And that's when it happens. Rachel feels the rush of warm fluid, looks down in shock. Her water just broke. All over the conference room chair, pooling on the expensive carpet. The room erupts. Jennifer jumps up. Oh my God, call 911. Michael grabs his phone. Other executives push back from the table. Graham stares, face frozen in horror. Rachel tries to stand. Can't. And the contractions start immediately, real ones, intense, stealing her breath. Hospital, she gasps. Need hospital. Someone get her to the elevator, Jennifer shouts. 2 junior executives move to help her. Graham hasn't moved. He's staring at the puddle on his carpet like it personally offended him. Sir, we need to help her, Jennifer says. Graham snaps out of it. Yes, of course. Someone clean this up. Clean it up? Jennifer's voice is incredulous. She's in labor. And we have a business to run, Graham says. Meeting adjourned. Someone notify building maintenance. Rachel is halfway to the door when another contraction hits. She cries out, doubles over. The baby is coming. Fast. We're not going to make it to the hospital, Jennifer says, panicked. Call an ambulance, Michael says. He's already on the phone. They're sending one now. They get Rachel to the lobby, lay her down on the couches. Security calls for medical assistance. One of the guards knows first aid. He tries to keep Rachel calm. Breathe, he says. Help is coming. Rachel can barely hear him. The pain is overwhelming. Where's the ambulance? Back in the conference room, Graham stands alone. He pulls out his phone, calls his lawyer. We might have a problem, he says. The lawyer listens, then asks one question. Was anyone recording? Graham's blood runs cold. In the lobby, Rachel's assistant, Maya, arrives. I came as soon as I heard, she says, kneeling beside Rachel. Oh, God, you're really in labor. Baby's coming, Rachel gasps. Too fast. The paramedics burst through the doors. They assess her quickly. We need to move now. The baby's crowning. They load Rachel onto a stretcher, rush her to the ambulance. Maya climbs in with her. I'm coming with you. At the hospital, Rachel is wheeled directly to delivery. 20 minutes later, she gives birth to a healthy baby girl. 7 pounds, 3 ounces. Perfect. Rachel holds her daughter and cries. Relief, joy, exhaustion. You did it, the nurse says. She's beautiful. Maya takes photos. What's her name? Emma, Rachel says. Her name is Emma. While Rachel recovers, the internet explodes. Someone in that conference room recorded everything. Graham's words, his threats, his callousness as Rachel's water broke. The video is everywhere. Millions of views in hours. Hashtag Nexus Technologies trends worldwide. The comments are brutal. This is why we need better maternity protection. That CEO is a monster. She was literally in labor and he cared about the carpet. News outlets pick it up. Business journals, mainstream media, Nexus Technologies stock drops 15%. The board of directors calls an emergency meeting. Graham is summoned. This is a PR nightmare, the board chair says. We're getting death threats. It's being blown out of proportion, Graham says. You called her pregnancy unfortunate timing, another board member says, on camera. I was referring to business timing. You threatened her job while she was going into labor, the chair interrupts. I was conducting a performance review. You violated federal law, the general counsel says. The Pregnancy Discrimination Act, the Family and Medical Leave Act. We're going to be sued into oblivion. She can't sue us, Graham says. She signed an arbitration agreement. That won't help with the Department of Labor investigation, the counsel says, or the criminal negligence charges her lawyer is threatening. Graham's face goes pale. Criminal charges? You prevented a woman in medical distress from seeking help, the counsel says. You could face jail time. The board chair stands. Graham, effective immediately. You're on administrative leave pending investigation. You can't do this, Graham says. We can and we are, the chair says. Your actions have cost this company millions. You're done. Graham is escorted from the building by security. His company email is deactivated before he reaches his car. At the hospital, Rachel is resting when Jennifer from HR arrives. I'm so sorry, Jennifer says, for everything, for not stopping him sooner. You tried, Rachel says tiredly. Not hard enough, Jennifer says. But I want you to know, Graham is gone. The board removed him. Rachel's eyes widen. Really? Effective today, Jennifer says. And the board wants to make this right. They're offering you a settlement. I'm listening, Rachel says. Full pay for your entire maternity leave, extended leave if you need it, a formal apology, a promotion when you return, and legal fees, covered if you want to pursue further action. Rachel looks at her sleeping daughter. What do you want to do? Maya asks quietly. Rachel thinks about it. I want to come back. On my terms, with protections for other pregnant employees. The board is already drafting new policies, Jennifer says. You'll be consulted on everything. 3 months later, Rachel returns to work, not as director of marketing, as vice president. Her first act is implementing comprehensive pregnancy and parental leave policies, paid leave for all parents, flexible return to work options, lactation rooms, child care support. The policies become industry leading. Other companies follow suit. Rachel is interviewed by major publications. What happened to you was terrible, a journalist says, but it sparked real change. It shouldn't have taken a viral video, Rachel says, but I'm glad something good came from it. What would you say to Graham Whitfield if you saw him today? The journalist asks. Rachel thinks carefully. I'd thank him. The journalist looks shocked. Thank him? For showing the world what pregnant workers face every day, Rachel says. For being so blatantly discriminatory that nobody could deny it anymore. His cruelty created an opportunity for change. That's incredibly gracious, the journalist says. I'm not doing it for him, Rachel says. I'm doing it for my daughter. So when she enters the workforce someday, she won't face what I faced. Graham Whitfield never works as a CEO again. His reputation is destroyed. He becomes a cautionary tale in business schools. How not to manage employees. He tries to rehabilitate his image, gives awkward apology interviews. Nobody believes him. He finally fades into obscurity. 5 years later, Rachel is Chief Operating Officer of Nexus Technologies. The company is thriving. Culture is transformed. They're consistently ranked as one of the best places to work, especially for working parents. Our Rachel's daughter Emma is 5 years old now. Sometimes Rachel brings her to the office. Employees smile when they see her. That's Emma, the baby from the video. Emma doesn't understand why she's famous. She just knows her mom works hard and lots of people respect her. One day, Emma asks, Mommy, why do people always want to take pictures with you? Rachel kneels down. Because Mommy helped make things better for other mommies and daddies at work. How? Emma asks. By standing up for what's right, Rachel says. even when it was scary. Were you scared? Emma asks. Very scared, Rachel admits. But sometimes we have to be brave even when we're afraid. Emma hugs her. You're the bravest mommy ever. Rachel holds her daughter tight. She thinks about that conference room, that terrible meeting, the humiliation, the fear, the pain. She wouldn't wish it on anyone. But she also knows it led her here, to this moment, this life, this purpose. Sometimes the worst days create the most important changes. Sometimes cruelty exposes itself so completely that it cannot be ignored. Sometimes breaking down leads to breaking through. Rachel learned that dignity cannot be stripped away by bullies, that motherhood is not a weakness, but a strength, that standing up for yourself creates paths for others. Graham thought he could intimidate her into silence. Instead, he gave her a platform. Her water breaking in that meeting became a watershed moment, not just for her, for countless working parents. The video that humiliated her became a rallying cry. Proof that discrimination happens. Evidence that change is needed. Rachel transformed her trauma into triumph, not by seeking revenge, but by building something better. Emma will grow up in a world slightly more just because of what her mother endured. And someday, Rachel will tell her the whole story, about the day she was born, about the CEO who tried to break her, about the moment everything changed, and Emma will understand. That courage isn't the absence of fear. It's choosing to stand up anyway. That justice doesn't always come easily, but it's always worth fighting for. And that sometimes the hardest moments in our lives become the catalyst for our greatest achievements. If this story resonated with you, we want to hear from you. Have you ever faced discrimination at work or witnessed someone being treated unfairly? Share your story in the comments below. Your voice matters and might give someone else courage. If this moved you, please hit that like button. Subscribe for more powerful stories about justice and resilience. Turn on notifications so you never miss an upload, and share this with someone who needs to know their worth isn't determined by how others treat them. Thank you for standing with us for what's right.